Hello, welcome or welcome back to our channel. In this video, we're going to be talking about Cambridge Advanced Reading and Use of English, Part 7. In Part 7, you need to be a bit of a detective to analyse the text and search for clues. So we'll practice your detective skills so that you're 100% ready for the task. At the end of the video, you'll have the chance to do some exam-style Reading Part 7 practice with feedback from me on the correct answers. So stick around for that. If you've got your advanced exam coming up, or you're just interested in learning more about what it involves, why don't you subscribe to Home Studies? All right, ready to begin? Let's start off by looking at what you need to do in Advanced Reading Part 7. This part of the reading exam is called the gapped text, and that's exactly what it is. You're given a text made up of 7 paragraphs, and between each of these paragraphs there's a gap, where some text has been removed. You're also given 7 extra paragraphs. You need to fit 6 of these extra paragraphs back into the text in the correct order. There's always one of the extra paragraphs which isn't needed. So, what does this exam task test? Well, it's testing your understanding of how a text is structured, how paragraphs and ideas are linked together in order to make a text that flows. You need to look for links between the paragraphs in order to understand how they fit together. For each gap, you need to look at what comes before and after the gap. There are 3 main types of link between sentences and paragraphs, and we're going to have a look at all 3 of them. One thing that I love is reading. I love it when you're in the middle of a book you just don't want to put down. Imagine that you're reading and you accidentally turn over 2 pages instead of 1. You read a few lines, but you're confused. The topic seems to have changed without any warning. The writer's talking about something completely different now, and there doesn't seem to be any connection to the previous paragraph. Have you ever done that? This knowledge we have of when a text flows in a logical way, and when it doesn't, is what we need in Part 7. We need to look at the topic and the main ideas of each paragraph and see which of the extra paragraphs connect logically to these. We need to look at references to people, places, dates, and see how these fit into the jigsaw that is the text. Let's take a look at an example from a text that talks about people's moods. Pause the video while you read the text and think about whether the 2 paragraphs make sense in their current order. Press play when you're ready to continue. Okay, as you should have seen, the 2 paragraphs were the wrong way round. Here they're in the right order. The main idea of the first paragraph is that bad moods have their uses as much as good moods do. The first paragraph goes on to discuss one of the reasons why negative emotions can be useful. The second paragraph begins with another way that they're useful. So we can see that now the 2 paragraphs are connected by topic and idea in a logical way, and they develop also in a logical way. Back when I was 17, I had a very short-lived holiday job working in a factory like this, packing boxes. I was packing boxes of chocolate. I say it was short-lived. That's because the job was so incredibly repetitive, putting chocolates into a box all day long. I think I only lasted 1 or 2 days before I quit. Not many people like jobs that are so repetitive, and this applies to texts too. A piece of writing quickly becomes boring if it uses the same language over and over. Because of this, there are some tricks that writers use in order to avoid too much repetition. Firstly, let's have a look at some examples of some grammatical tricks. this example, the pronoun he refers back to the doctor in the previous sentence. Look at this second example. Again, we have a pronoun, but this time the person it refers to is mentioned later in the text. One final example. This time we substitute the word one to avoid repeating a noun, car. Using pronouns like this is a really simple, basic way to avoid repeating words unnecessarily. And in part 7, you'll need to be very aware of all pronouns and exactly what they refer to in order to help you understand the structure of the text. Okay, so let's see how this works in practice. Pause the video while you read these two paragraphs from the same text that we looked at earlier. See if you can identify what this in paragraph 2 refers to. Press play when you've finished. Did you work it out? It refers to this section in bold about how it can be difficult to shake off a bad mood once you're in one. In the same way that we use grammatical techniques to avoid repetition, we also do this in our choice of vocabulary when we write. So, for example, in a text about the beginnings of civilization, to avoid repeating the word mankind, we might use synonyms such as man, humanity, the human race, human beings or people. We might also use opposites or antonyms, such as these antonyms for the adjective messy. In part 7, the presence of both synonyms and antonyms can help us to identify paragraphs that are likely to follow on from each other. Let's have a go. Pause the video while you read these two paragraphs from a text about art and gardening. Can you find two synonyms for artworks in the second paragraph? Press play when you've finished. Did you get them both? There's paintings and masterpieces. All right, now it's time for you to have a go at a real Part 7 exam task. Pause the recording while you download the practice pack that goes with this video. It contains a real Part 7 reading task, the main text and the 7 extra paragraphs. Complete the task seeing if you can put what we've talked about into practice. Then, restart the video when you're ready to check your answers. Okay, let's go over the task then, starting with question 1. Here you can see the paragraphs that come directly before and after question 1. Remember, it's so important to check that your chosen answer fits with both paragraphs, the one before and the one after. Looking at the first paragraph of this text, it introduces one of the key points of the overall text, that for most of history, mankind has lived in a kind of harmony with the rest of the planet, and that it's only relatively recently that we've begun to dominate the natural world. The second paragraph of the main text starts off by talking about how this area is covered in a network of roads. But which area is being referred to? It can't be the whole of Kenya, can it? The answer to question 1 needs to be a paragraph that explains which area is being discussed here. The fact that the second paragraph begins with the word today also suggests that perhaps the missing paragraph is talking about the past. So the answer to question 1 is paragraph D. The main link between the first paragraph and paragraph D is the subject. D continues the theme begun in paragraph 1 of man's dominance over the natural world. We can also see links between paragraph D and the following paragraph. Firstly, we can see that the expression this area at the beginning of paragraph 2 refers to the area between Kitale and Nandi Fort in western Kenya. Secondly, we can see that, as suspected, the wording today contrasts with the section of paragraph D that talks about 1905. Okay, let's move on to question 2. Paragraph 2 ends with the writer saying that he or she was hoping to see elephants. The whole of paragraph 3 talks about types of behaviour specific to elephants, so it would be safe to say that we're looking for a paragraph on the topic of elephants. In fact, the answer to question 2 is paragraph G. We can see the link between the end of paragraph 2 and the beginning of paragraph G. The "like me" at the beginning of paragraph G refers back to this personal wish to see elephants. We can also see the links between paragraph G and the following paragraph. In paragraph G, the writer talks about the perception that elephants display very human-like behaviour at times. Paragraph 3 is full of examples of elephant behaviour that seems to show emotional attachment to members of their herd, such as helping injured family members and mourning the dead, as well as complex burial habits. Now, let's move on to question 3. We've just been looking at paragraph 3, but what about paragraph 4? The focus of the text here is different. This paragraph discusses various ways in which the elephant's land is being threatened. So, which paragraph is the answer to question 3? Well, it's paragraph F. There's a clear thematic link between paragraph 3, which describes examples of interesting elephant behaviour, and the beginning of paragraph F, which describes elephants as, in some ways, the most interesting of the animals. There are also clear links between paragraph F and paragraph 4. Firstly, the time frame. Paragraph F talks about the situation a century ago, when elephants were masters of the land. Paragraph 4 contrasts this with the current situation, where agriculture is only one of the factors that has reduced the amount of land available to the elephants. Okay, let's have a look at question 4 then. As we've already seen, paragraph 4 discusses various threats to the elephant's habitat. It ends with a call to action that things must change. Paragraph 5 begins with a warning that we need to reduce how much we interfere with nature. The use of the expression "above all" suggests that this is the final and most important warning, but that the missing paragraph will contain other recommendations. So, which is the missing paragraph? The answer to question 4 is paragraph A. As predicted, this paragraph contains several recommendations about how exactly the writer thinks things need to change. If we look at how paragraph A fits with paragraph 5, the use of "above all" now makes complete sense, introducing the writer's main point after his two previous arguments. Okay, moving on to question 5. Paragraph 5 deals with how our actions have long-term effects on nature. Then, paragraph 6 talks about how we've lost touch with our place in the natural world. So, which is the missing paragraph? Well, the answer to question 5 is B. We can see two specific connections between paragraph 5 and paragraph B. Firstly, paragraph 5 introduces the idea of the established order, how things are meant to work in nature. Paragraph B returns to this idea, saying that even though man hunted elephants in the past, this was still part of the natural order. It didn't disturb nature's balance. The second thing that links these two paragraphs is the idea of change. At the end of paragraph 5, the writer mentions how even carefully considered change has consequences for the environment. Paragraph B continues this line of thought, saying how nature has always had to adapt to change, but the pace of this change is now out of control. Are there any links between paragraph B and paragraph 6? Yes. The now at the beginning of paragraph 6 is in direct contrast to the section of paragraph B that talks about the situation a century ago. There's also a lexical link between the expression moral squalor at the end of paragraph B and the mention of our greed at the beginning of paragraph 6. Okay, finally, question 6. As mentioned before, paragraph 6 talks about how we're no longer in sync with the natural world. Paragraph 7 advises us on how to make the most of a safari, telling us to spend longer observing each group of animals that we come across, instead of rushing around trying to tick animals off a list. So, which is the missing paragraph? The answer to question 6 is E. We can see here that the privilege mentioned at the beginning of paragraph E refers back to the privilege the writer mentions at the end of paragraph 6, of being able to witness the glorious sight of Kenya's wildlife. Are there any links between paragraph E and paragraph 7? Yes, there's a logical link here. Paragraph E highlights the clash between the 21st century pace of life of the visitors to Kenya and the slow pace of life in the wildlife reserves that's relatively unchanged since prehistoric times. Following on from this, paragraph 7 advises visitors how to act in a way that's in keeping with the natural pace of life of the wildlife there. Okay, so that's all for today then. You should have a better understanding now of how to deal with reading and use of English, part 7. I hope this video was useful. If so, then please click the like button and share it on your socials. What about you? Do you have any advice or strategies that help you with part 7? If so, then please put them in the comments section below. Okay, so have a lovely day and I hope to see you soon in the next video.